Today was the fourth and final day that the ex-girlfriend of Jonathan Majors testified in his misdemeanor assault trial there in New York City. Today, text messages from Majors to her were actually admitted from a previous incident. This here is from, let me pull this up, folks, from the Rolling Stone. And so based upon what was entered into evidence today in court, in these text messages, he wrote, "I fear you have no perspective what could happen if you go to the hospital. They will ask you questions." This is what he texted to Grace Jabbari. He also said, and as I don't think you actually protect us, it could lead to an investigation, even if you do lie and they suspect something. She responded, "Why would I tell them what really happened when it's clear I want to be with you? I will tell the doctor I bumped my head. I will not go to the doctor if you don't feel safe with me doing so. I'm going to give it one more day, but I can't sleep and I need some stronger pain killers." Over the last 4 days, she's been under withering cross-examination by the defense. And he testified earlier, another day, that she actually hit him first, snatching the phone out of his hand. Now, keep in mind, this is a misdemeanor trial that they've taken to a full trial here. This all started based upon what took place in an incident in a car on March 25th between Majors and the ex-girlfriend. Let's go back to my panel. I'll start with you, Monique. Sitting here, again, watching this, obviously, the prosecution is putting their case on. They had an ex-girlfriend testify in this case right here. They're entering in text from a previous incident, trying to lay out this narrative that they're dealing with an absolute monster in Jonathan Majors. Your perspective, go ahead. You're muted. You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
You ain't done this in a while? Go ahead.
I was trying to eat some chicken during the break, actually.
Lord.
So I just heard the issue about the text messages, and I think what I will say overall is that the prosecution, from the beginning of filing the case through the opening statements up until these days of testimony, has been trying to cast this defendant as the big, scary, evil black man, the boogeyman, and hope that there is smear enough to erase the actual facts of the case, the actual timeline of the case, the actual facts of how the rift between them started. And as you know, Roland, it started with the former girlfriend committing an assault against Mr. Majors because grabbing at someone's property, grabbing at their hand and property, taking it, that is a crime in New York City, and that's why she was arrested. And I still don't have an answer yet for why the charges were not pressed by the prosecutor's office, why there was a declination. Maybe that was part of their agreement with her, I don't know. But in general, the way that the prosecution has handled this says to me that they fear their case is not strong enough on its own, and they need to color and taint all things about the defendant, Mr. Majors, in order to be successful.
Your assessment, Matt?
So first, I think Monique is right in all respects. And I thought about this. So what the viewers probably need to know is, I don't know how it works in New York, but at least in Texas, and I would imagine a lot of jurisdictions, in domestic violence cases, you can put on evidence that's not germane to the exact issue if you're trying to show the relationship. So in Texas, we would call this 404B evidence, where a judge would say you can put on evidence of damning text or something else that shows the complexity and the nature of their relationship. Monique is exactly right. This is what prosecutors are trying to do. They're trying to use extraneous stuff to show that he's a big bad boogeyman. I will say, though, from a defense standpoint, I actually think this can still be leveraged, because if the question is her credibility, right, and her willingness to either be dishonest or to lie, then if there are text messages where she's showing that she's willing to engage in that, it at the very least should cause the jury to question whether the version of events as it relates to this discrete issue is really what she said happened, or whether they have a reasonable doubt. And while, if I were defending him, I would be concerned about how these texts may look to some extent, I might also think that it could be leveraged because it's very clear that there were assaultive behaviors on her behalf and that it's not as simple as he allegedly assaulted her and it's that it. There's a lot more to it. So I would think that that's why the defense, subjected her to a withering cross-examination for 7 hours. And you got to consider the overall context here is they only need one person on that jury to hang up. One person keeps him, not being found guilty. So one person having a reasonable doubt is enough to keep him convicted.
Michael, your thoughts?
Roland, I was reading through this article on from people.com dealing with this, and I've been following the trial a little bit. I remember when these allegations first came out, even before this went to trial. However this turns out, this doesn't look good for Jonathan Majors, one. And two, it's a shame whether he's guilty or not. It's a shame when you have an African-American man who has his career derailed by either actions he did or allegations about what he did and turns out not to be guilty. So we'll see how this turns out. These text messages don't look good. It gives the impression of some type of cover up or something like that. But we'll see how this turns out. But I saw his trajectory of his career going this way, going up, and then this happens, and then he's going down.
Oh, well, absolutely. I mean, he was about to blow up when this happened. I mean, the Marvel stuff, other movies with Michael B. Jordan, you name it. And so, obviously he's trying to stay out of jail and trying to salvage his career. So, again, prosecutors putting their case on. We'll see what happens when court resumes on Monday.